Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are you all doing? Dustin Moore here on the microphone once again about, I don't know, a month and a half after our last broadcast. And yes, I did take some time off. It was sudden. It was unexpected. But it's one of those things, like, until you start doing this regular cadence of like racing, hosting races, and then broadcasting races 3-4 times a week, man, it becomes a lot. So big time applause to those of you who make streaming your part-time or full-time gig in conjunction with your full-time gig during the day, whatever that may be. It's great to be here. Big J Bishop, Slow Motion Fire, Proud Beetle, the Sacred Texts. Sacred Text, you're going to have to tell me what your gamer tag is or what your past Twitch name was, because that one's not standing out to me. Big J Bishop and Mesosphere. Mesosphere is here as well. I am peaking. Well, let me fix that. Here, let's try this. The audio may be a little bit different from when I last broadcasted, now that Microsoft has done several updates. Tell me how this sounds. Tell me how my voice sounds now. But yes, so anyway, long story short, because there is long story behind it, after a strong month of July, about halfway through August, it was like, man, I got to take a break because I got my full-time job, and then in addition to that, we were doing quite a few broadcasts. A lot of work that goes behind the scenes. To the streamers that are out there, Mesosphere, I see you there. Anybody else who does streaming, and especially in the racing realm where you're hosting events and then you're broadcasting them, man, there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So I was a bit humbled by that experience. Now, when I say that I'm back, it's in a very minimum capacity. I'm going to be doing these events here for the Forza Spec Racing Series, as we had done since, summer of last year, picking back up with season number 30. Quieter, but still distorted at the top. Really? Still grainy, but now you're just quieter. Oh, my. Oh, no. I don't like this. Things have changed. What about now? Let me see if I can change something on the Windows side of things. And I did a little bit of a test to make sure, one, that I could get onto the Twitch, but beyond that, I didn't get a lot of other testing in. So let me go ahead and try to make some settings work here on my end. And then we'll get ready for season number 30, week number 1 in the Dodge Neon SRT ACR, which you see there on the screen. It's your mic gain. Let's see here. Let me see if I could try to fix some things on my end, because I definitely don't want you all to have to deal with a nasty sounding mic all day. That would be horrible. That would be atrocious. Overmeister with the follow about 3 hours ago.
You have selected Microsoft David as the default voice.
Oh. You're good in the midtones, but then it just drops. Man, this is really, really weird. Really weird. Let me see. How do I get to that setting? How do I get to the setting that I want? Not this thing. Not this thing. Hold on. Microphone. Oh, man. I hate it when the audio stuff goes wild. I hate it when the audio stuff goes crazy. Let's see. Test my microphone. Yeah, I'm good there. Let's try this. Master volume. Oh, my gosh. Man, audio things are way different now. At least we can hear you. Also, I had a Neon at one point in time, says Proud Beetle. And Proud Beetle, to my knowledge, is racing in the Forza Spec Racing Series for the first time this season. In any season. Might it be OBS? It could be, although I'm looking at OBS right now, and that's what I'm adjusting so that you all don't get blasted with my voice as it seems to be might have been the case at the beginning of the broadcast. So, let me see here. I'm trying to find, there's a certain screen that I'm looking for that I just can't find right now, and I don't know why. Fortunately, we've got a little bit of time. We've got 10 minutes. Well, make that 9 minutes here before the top of the hour and things get going. Out at the Nürburgring, the full circuit, which would be the Nordschleife circuit, not the GP circuit, if I am thinking about this correctly. 4 laps around that monstrous track, and we'll get talking about that race here in just a bit as soon as maybe I can work out some of these microphone issues. And, man, I really don't know where this this setting is that I'm trying to find. Microphone setup. Set up a microphone. Right click, sounds, recording, microphone wizard. Do I sound horrible right now? Like, is this something that is going to be okay for right now, and then maybe after the broadcast I can figure out what's going on? What's the situation? Give me a sit rep. Are you looking for the equalizer? So I have the equalizer for OBS, and then I have the equalizer for all the sound in Microsoft, but I'm looking for the one where you set up a microphone. I'm looking for the one where you set up a microphone. Speech? No, that's going to be the silly, not what I'm looking for. Not what I'm looking for. You're also juggling another series with this one, says Brown Beetle. So Brown Beetle, yes, joining this one, but then also doing some other stuff. Keeping busy. Keeping busy. Isn't that the story of all our lives, huh? Let's see here. Right-click sounds. Let me see. And I'm not showing my screen right now just in case anything comes up because obviously going through some of these menus, I don't want something to show that doesn't necessarily need to be seen. That's the troubleshooter. I don't need the troubleshooter. I need, like, there used to be a menu. What's up there, Notorious Nate? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out the sound issues. I stopped streaming about a month and a half ago, touched nothing, but then, of course, in traditional Microsoft style, with a few updates, things have changed, and now I'm trying to figure out why there is a problem. Let's see, microphone setup wizard. How about that? Man, this bums me out that already off the top of the first show here on the comeback that I'm having a little bit of a microphone not so great type issue. Not so good. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. Because I'm streaming, the Nürburgring will be running the day, so I'm seeing that. It's bearable, says Big J Bishop. Oh, great. It's just bearable. All right, let me try this. Let's see, sound. Man, this is killing me. Because I loved where my sound was before I stopped streaming, and that's the problem. I should have never stopped streaming, right? That's the issue. Oh, here we go. Let's try this. Let's see. How about now? Oh, I think I got it. How about now? Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. What do you guys think? We're in business. Let me see. Let me bring it up a little bit. How about this? Testing 1 2 3 1 2 3. Tad bit louder, says Big J. So I was a little bit low there. How about now? Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Microphone check. Yeah, it's like we're on stage at a concert. We're good, he says. You know, Big J Bishop, I just know it. I don't know this to be true about you, but you're my audio file. You got the audio. You're setting me up for success here tonight. Testing 1, 2. I'm going up a little bit higher because my equalizer now on OBS says that I'm down. So how about now? Testing 1, 2. And I found it. Oh, a little bit of red there. A little bit of red. That's Meza, says Big J. Fair enough. Meza's already getting ready for the race. He has no time to talk to me about microphone problems. He's like, no, dude, I got to go. I got to get ready for the race. Testing 1, 2. I'll check it out later. I want to make sure that the audio sounds great, because what I was going to say and how I was going to preface this broadcast here tonight is that this is a no-frills version of Virtual Autosports, folks. We have ditched all the extra stuff that really took up a big chunk of my time in between broadcasts, the graphics and all that. I've ditched a lot of that for just a very simple broadcast here today. Now, obviously, as we go through the season, we'll get a leaderboard going, and the audio from the game may be a little bit too loud now. Let me bring that down for you. We'll get a leaderboard, obviously, that we'll talk through before week 2, 3, 4, and the finale in week 5. I'll probably throw a few other little things up here and there, but I've committed to myself this. Broadcast the events. I'm really passionate. I'm really excited about commentary and to be able to watch the race, especially the Forza Spec Racing Series, because these guys, I tell you, they hop on the mic with me, and hopefully we'll get some of those guys here in between the races to talk about what's going on here in Season 30. They hop on the mic. We have a good time, just a really good group of guys and gals. So I really lacked that in my life. I lacked having that Forza community interaction that I've had for the last year and a half, 2 years broadcasting here on Twitch. And so that's why I'm really back, is because of that. Now, again, I'm not going to be doing my Thursday broadcast or my Sundays anymore. Hello there, Crimson. Good to see you. But I wanted to come back to FM4, and I'm glad that Slow Motion Fire was like, hey, man, yeah, come on back. Let's get some broadcasts going. Let's show the awesome things that our racers are doing here. And now they're hopping into the 2005 Dodge SRT4 ACR. That's American Club Racer, ACR. That's the badge that Dodge applies to the cars that it's super, super serious about. So you may have like the, I'm thinking of like, Ford. You've got Shelby and Celine and the what other badges might Ford apply? The SRT badge. Or actually, SRT. Why am I saying that? That's Dodge. But you've got all these kind of like little namesakes or little branding things that vehicle manufacturers like to affix to cars that really they are saying, hey, this is the most serious version of the vehicle that we offer. Well, that's essentially what the American, SVT. There you go. Thank you, Proud Beetle. SVT for Ford. That's essentially what ACR is to Dodge, or was. I mean, do they even make an ACR anymore with the Dodge Viper? I'm not entirely sure. But with the Dodge Neon, the 2005, mind you, this was the last year of the Dodge Neon before it went goodbye, and it just so happened that in 2005 they had the ACR, 2.4-liter inline 4, and that's the engine that they'll be riding with or driving with here tonight in the Forza Spec Racing Series. But they've done a little bit of souping up, if you will, to these cars. You'll notice that, one, they're plastered with VIS Racing body kit all the way from front to tail. In addition to that, they've got some power, so it's not just all show and no go. They've got some power upgrades to take this car up to 263 horsepower. That's up 33 horsepower from its original situation there in Forza Motorsport 7. So up from 230 horsepower to 263. It was at 250 foot-pounds of torque, now up 36 foot-pounds of torque to 286, and have brought the weight down a little bit from 2,984 pounds to a cool even 2,600. Turbocharged, nonetheless, says Proud Beetle. Absolutely. And Slow Motion Fire saying, here we go. So, going to get the racing underway here. Well, first we'll start with qualifying. And if you haven't watched us here during the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series events, they go into a nice little qualifying session, which allows all the drivers to hop out on the track at once. get all their best times set as much as they can. And then that'll set the grid heading into the race. And we'll talk about all these drivers that have joined out on the track as they go around. And here we are at the Nürburgring GP. I said the Nordschleife, but apparently it is, in fact, the GP circuit, which is great because qualifying on the Nordschleife would have taken forever. And it's going to be 3 laps. So it'll be a standing start, which is what you're seeing right now, obviously. These guys coming off the line. And then they'll have their 2 flying laps to try to set that best time to get a good qualifying spot. Obviously, a great opportunity to get yourself up in front and try to steer clear of the chaos that'll happen in turn number 1 at Yokohama Corner. Now they're going through the Mercedes arena as we watch Iceman Misfit heading through and out of turn number 4 and 5, coming up to the left-hander and then the right-hander down toward the hairpin with all the nice grandstands painted with the various nations' flags. You'll see that here shortly as Iceman Misfit's got like the wrestler garb on for his drivatar. I love it. Mesosphere back behind him. And because we were not here for season number 29, season 29, the champion was Cratrium. Cratrium coming away with the championship there in season 29. And actually, Cratrium, who was previously known as C-Tom within FM4 and, of course, elsewhere in the Forza community, has now picked up a total of 9 championships. So this guy is cruising, possibly looking for number 10 here in season 30 if he happens to be participating. As we watch Mesosphere now getting around the track, and here's my favorite part of the circuit. So you hit this long straightaway on the back end of the course. You got a little bit of a kink here, and you'll notice that as Mesosphere approaches it right now. Then it's up to the NGK chicane. And let's see, because we don't have Forza race regulations turned on, you do see the tire wall, the tire barriers out there to keep the drivers in check, to try to keep them from cutting the course. And then you go back up to the last right-hander toward the start-finish line. And look at that Iceman Misfit now ghosting as Mesosphere starts to close in, and that's what allows all the drivers to set their best qualifying time simultaneously. As they approach one another, they'll ghost so that you can, in fact, drive literally in the same spot as the other car. It can make things a little bit tricky as they come up at turn 1, Yokohama. And let's go ahead and throw some statistics up there on the screen for you. You see Mesosphere with that 2:19.2. That's the quick time coming out of the standing start. Looking a little bit further back, Cratrium is indeed out there on the track. And Cratrium currently with the 3rd quickest qualifying time in this session. The 2005 Dodge SRT4 ACR Neon. And oh man, the successor of the Neon. What was the successor to the Neon? You guys tell me. I know what it is. I've got it written down, and it makes me frown when I think about it. I'm not a big fan of the Neon by any stretch of the imagination, but to think of what car came next in the lineage of Dodge makes me wish that the Neon had returned. What was that car? You guys tell me. Let's see if you get it correct. A little bit of a trivia question there for you as we watch Cratrium now heading back toward the hairpin, and there you see all the nation's flags painted up there on the grandstand. It looks beautiful, and it's a nice, partly cloudy day here in Germany at the Nürburgring GP circuit. Out of the hairpin comes Cratrium. A little bit of tire smoke. Yes, they've kept the not the all-wheel drive. That's sometimes a incorrect thought that a lot of folks have, is that the SRT or the ACR version of the Neon was all-wheel drive. That is not the case at all. They all maintained their front-wheel drive status, whether it was the SRT or in this case the SRT ACR. And so you'll get that tire smoke when you get all 263 horsepower going in these things coming out of the turns. And we're riding now with Slow Motion Fire, the organizer here of the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series. And that successor to the Dodge Neon, nobody said it in chat, but it's the Caliber, that Dodge Caliber. Ugh. Oh, what a hideous car. I mean, I got to give credit to Dodge a little bit because they seemed like they were a little bit ahead of their time with the Dodge Caliber, kind of that hybrid sports car slash sports SUV type setup. Yeah, they were trying to think of something there, but just nobody was really buying in on it, and therefore that Dodge Caliber had a short lifespan, and hopefully we'll never see the Caliber emerge in any sort of reincarnation, and maybe we'll see the Dodge Neon again. We had the Dodge Dart, which came out for what in the last decade. It only had run for 6 or 7 years before Dodge says, well, we're going to put an end to that. And crate trim with the current quickest time. Let's go to Gotta Go Fast, who's got the 8th fastest time out there on the track. What's up there, THD Reckless? Good to see you, and thank you very much for that follow. There's Gotta Go Fast. Oh, we won't we won't mistake Gotta Go Fast with anybody else's car. Look at that neon, quite literally plastered on the side there on the driver's, the passenger side panel, and then, of course, the rear passenger doors. It is a 4-door car here, the Dodge Neon, not a 2-door. But yeah, I mean, the Dodge Neon, if it appears again as a compact sports car, that would be cool, although we know in today's age of vehicle manufacturing, obviously the tendency is to lean toward making SUVs at this point. But perhaps someday when the car comes back to, and it will, the SUVs will fade out again, and then the economy cars will come back, and the Dodge Neon perhaps will rear its, I don't know, I don't want to say beautiful or ugly head, because there's definitely, it's a cult car. The Dodge Neon is most certainly a cult car. It was one of those things where, yes, it was a economy car for the first couple of generations, and then Dodge said, hey, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Fast and Furious came onto the scene, Dodge said, hey, let's take this little Neon and let's do something with it. And the SRT was the result, and then the ACR came around, and the ACR, few and far between. You only find, or at least there were only 1,175 of them made. You won't even find that many, obviously. Undoubtedly, a few have probably met their demise. And here we are on lap number 3. Actually, these drivers have already completed their quick times, or their qualifying session out here at the Nürburgring GP. And so any minute now we'll be taken back to the lobby, and here we go. And we'll go ahead and take a look at those previous race results. And mind you, don't look at the position there off to the left. Pay attention to that best lap column, and that's where you'll find crate trim at a 2:14.7. Nobody else jumped into the 2:14s but crate trim. Mesosphere got awfully close there at a 2:15.5. So Mesosphere will find himself opposite of crate trim. Crate trim in pole position. Then you've got Crimson at a 2:15.3. I see a 2:15.7 there by Audrex. A couple of 2:17s. I don't see any 2:16s. A couple of 2:17s. Fear the Fun. Fotang. And let's see. And I think from there on up, it's 18s, 19s, and even 20s. If there's any driver who wants to have a quick little chat before we get this race going, you know where to go. Head on over to that queue for the interview section there in the FM4 Discord, and that's where we're going to find Fear the Fun, a.k.a. the Croatian Flick. Good to talk to you again, man. What's going on?
Nothing much, man. How's it going? Been a long well, I can't say a long time, but it's been a time.
It has been a time. It has been a month and a half's worth of time, and here we are. Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 30, week number 1. Tell us about this Dodge SRT ACR.
It's front-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's not particularly good at doing anything. But, I mean, they look great, don't they? Come on. The body kit, the wheels.
They don't look half bad. As I was mentioning, VIS Racing kit all the way around this thing. Front-wheel drive, do you find that decision interesting from the organizers here that kept that configuration versus going all-wheel drive or perhaps rear-wheel drive?
The last time we had a front-wheel drive, it was the Hyundai Veloster, and I absolutely hated that car. I blew the engine up every race, all season. I even tried to use automatic to not do that, and I still did it. This car is much better in the fact that you don't damage your engine every time you downshift.
Talking with Fear the Fun here in the driver's spotlight, getting ready to kick off week number 1 of the Forza Spec Racing Series out at the Nürburgring GP circuit. Initially, it was going to be from the notes that I can see, it looked like it was going to be a night race, and then judging by the notes of fuel and tire damage only, it seems like it was going to be maybe out at the Nordschleife. So now things have changed up here at the Nürburgring GP.
It hasn't changed.
Oh, okay.
We're doing the combined circuit, but it's not going to be at night. It's just going to be in the day.
Okay.
And we did the GP circuit qualifying, so we wouldn't have to go around the entire 14-mile track.
You guys didn't want to spend 20 minutes qualifying?
It'd be the same length as the race.
That would be the race. The qualifying would be the race. You guys would say, on to the next track, which happens to be Long Beach, and we'll have that race immediately following this one. So, Fear the Fun, as I take a look at your time, 2:17. It looks like that's going to put you about mid-pack. Pretty happy with that qualifying time. And how are you expecting things going into turn number 1 here, Yokohama?
I don't expect there to be carnage because it is a racing series and not the hoppers. Otherwise, if it was the hoppers, it'd be all 24 cars and it'd pile up, and it would be cursed and all that good stuff. I'm not part of that. But
you got nothing to do with that. You want nothing to do with that.
Exactly right.
And so before we throw you back on over, I'm looking at your car here. I love it. I love it. It's a throwback to like the 90s, the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s here. You've got the America Online emblem and then a nice little Taco Bell there toward the back, Dirty South Racing. What was the inspiration here with the livery?
When I was told what car it was, the specifics, like before we even knew the full build, is that it was going to have the Ricer body kit. So going with the Ricer body kit takes me back to the early 2000s, Fast and the Furious cars, and they had to do something loud and proud. And I figured Taco Bell with the classic cup logo and America Online would probably be the best doing that.
Dial-up internet, man. Can you imagine what Forza Racing would be like on the dial-up internet? We would get nowhere. We would get absolutely nowhere.
They did it on NASCAR 2001.
I know. It was a whole other world back then in terms of online racing. But hey, that was the origins, and we've come a long way in the last 10, 15 years. Fear the Fun again. Best of luck to you here in the race, week number 1, race number 1 of 2 tonight, and we'll see you at the finish line.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and quickly here because I know these drivers are just geared up and ready to go out here on the track. But let's pull in Mr. Crimson. Crimson, what's going on, man? And I'm going to pull up your car here. You got Rich Energy. Oh, that's Rich. Nice little sponsor there. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. What's the inspiration for the Rich Energy, which, for those who don't know, has a little bit of a controversial history here?
Well, honestly, it was the first thing I thought of when I saw the car we were driving. Overhyped, aluminum, and it'll probably give you cancer.
And so Rich Energy just factors in right in line with that thinking, huh?
Exactly.
We
have asbestos brakes here. We have an asbestos drink.
We're talking with Crimson here in the driver's spotlight. I love it. Already the laughter here is making me happy that I'm back here with the FM4 crew. Crimson, you are qualifying on pole position, Mesosphere opposite of you. Are you guys going to have a nice tight race here at the Nürburgring?
So I can see how you'd think I'm on pole. We've got those plebes at white bikes here holding the pole from us. We're in third, actually.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. My bad. A little bit of rust. I'll have to knock off the rust here in between weeks.
I can see how you would think that. They copied our logo after all.
I love it. All right. So, what's your prediction here? Season number 30 of the Dodge Neon. Where do you see yourself here at the end of today's? Not today. Of the next 5 weeks. Where do you see yourself in the end in the standings?
Honestly, as long as we can humiliate white bikes, I think the team's going to be happy.
Gotcha. And, of course, Cratrim is who I'm actually referring to, who's out there on pole with Mesosphere opposite of him. Crimson, good chatting with you. Best of luck out here on the track, and much like Fear the Fun, we'll see you at the finish line.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. Whew, yeah, got to knock off a little bit of the rust there, and that way I'm not misnaming or giving people the wrong spot on the grid versus where they should be. And yes, checking at the standings here, Cratrim and most certainly there on pole position. All our drivers are readied up. You'll see them all there. Crimson, Foontang, Fear the Fun, Gotta Go Fast, Slow Motion Fire, Proud Beetle, who's joining FM4 for the first time, Iceman, Misfit, Mesosphere, Cratrim, Popalak is there, Audrex out there on the track. GTR Widowed saying this is a nice car to drive. He's a fan of that SRT ACR4. And here we go, folks. It's time. You know what time it is. Yeah, it's week number 1, season 30. It's a Dodge, so no, says THD Reckless. Reckless says, I don't think so. Not so much. Can't be on that same opinion there. Kick the tires and light the fires. Ladies and gentlemen, it is week number 1, race number 1, out here at the Nürburgring GP plus the Nordschleife for 4 laps of racing. Into Yokohama, there they go. Cratrim out in front. Mesosphere back there in second position. Crimson, who we talked to, he was in third position. He is currently in third, coming out of turns 2, then 3, past the Mercedes grandstand area here at the Mercedes arena section, and you notice they made that cut through versus where they were on qualifying because this is the 24 hours of Nürburgring circuit, so there's a little bit of a shortcut there. For whatever reasons, the organizers of the Nürburgring 24 hours event says, hey, no, we're not gonna do those little extra bits there coming out of turn 2 or turn 1. We're going to go ahead and cut right through here. And Cratrim still out there in front. Mesosphere gives him a little bit of a bump on the back to say, hey, I'm still here. It's going to be Crimson still in third. Audrex in fourth. Fear the Fun in fifth. Let's go back there to Fear the Fun, who we were talking to there in the driver's spotlight. He's got Foontang back behind him. And behind Foontang, or in front of Foontang, is Iceman Misfit. And there goes Fear the Fun in that Taco Bell car. Iceman Misfit in 6th. 7th is Foontang. Popalak in 8th position. 9th is Slow Motion Fire. Got to go fast there in 10th. Proud Beetle in 11th. Let's go back up to our race leaders. And 2nd with Mesosphere, Sir Mighty. Thank you for the follow. And THD Reckless, if I haven't already said it, thank you very much for that follow as well. And oh no, we get not the gray screen, but the black screen, which usually means we've had a driver disconnect. Oh my, it's taking an awful long time to return. Forza, there we go. Whew. Wow, that was something. That was quite a blackout. We're back. Mesosphere up there in first. We may have lost a driver or two. Cratrim in second. Crimson in third. So that means Mesosphere has fallen out of the picture, and sure enough, Mesosphere is no longer out there on the track. So let's go to Crimson here in third position, and I am not entirely sure whether or not this race is going to continue. It looks like all the drivers are still at full speed at this point, and it looks like everybody is perhaps dropping out at this point. Big J Bishop saying that he died as well. So we got a couple of drivers that have seen themselves out of the race. Cratrim and Crimson are going at it bumper to bumper up the hill here as they are on the Nordschleife section at this part. Everybody off the GP, fortunately too, because if you're still on the GP, you're quite a ways back. And yeah, we're still at full power here. Audrex in 4th. 5th is Foontang. Misfit in 6th. Popalak in 7th, Slow Motion Fire in 8th, Got to Go Fast in 9th, and so it does seem to be Proud Beetle, Fear the Fun, and Mesosphere. 3 drivers out early on here in race number 1, and there goes Crimson to the inside of Cratrim. He's going to try to make that move, and they're going to go side by side back down the hill. Now, this is a very tricky section here. Of course, 263 horsepower here in these Dodge ACR Neons make the car a little bit more manageable versus if you were in a supercar. Here coming down the hill. Now it's back up the hill, and here's where you can catch a little bit of air if you had some more power. These Dodge ACRs keeping planted there to the tarmac, and now slowing it down here. Crimson, Craytrim, 2 and 3. Audrex, they're in 4th. Let's go to Audrex, and let's go ahead and hop on board with Audrex's car. That way we can kind of see what his look is here. And oh my gosh, I've somehow forgotten the hotkey there for the camera. And there we go, hopping onto the hood. And Proud Beetle saying disconnected. I guess Fate said no today. So Proud Beetle getting the DC in addition to Fear the Fun and Mesosphere. Actually, I keep saying Mesosphere's out. Mesosphere's up in front. So we've got 2 drivers who are out, not 3. As they go back through this amazingly difficult complex of corners out at the Nordschleife. And fortunately, 2 things that our drivers are not having to contend with. 1, rain. 2, darkness. And you're getting that heads up there from Big J Bishop, or excuse me, Fear the Fun. Fear the Fun before the race saying, hey, because this is being broadcast, we went ahead and are doing without the nighttime conditions. That way, from a broadcast standpoint, you can actually see the action as they head through the woods and not be in total darkness. And here comes Audrex now up the hill. That corner right there always throws me off. I know John Iwana really likes that corner for some reason. I absolutely loathe that part of the track there. And now it's at this point that I really start to feel good. You'll notice they'll come out of this right-hander, and there goes Audrex, not looking too good through there, not tidy at all, getting maybe 1 or 2 tires off into the grass before being able to recover it. Funtang now closing in on that AMD car, and Funtang in the very predictable magenta back behind him. And now here's an area that I actually really love. You get a lot of speed coming through this section before you get through or up to the first carousel here at the Nordschleife, and then that really starts the next set of very complex turns before you return out to the long straightaway and prepare to re-enter the GP arena. Let's go back up to our leader. It's Mesosphere who continues to lead the race. Crimson in second. Again, I'm shaking off the rust. I know I said Mesosphere was out of this one, but he is most certainly not. He is up there by a good 2 or maybe even 2.5 seconds over Craytrim at this point as they head toward the carousel. And there goes Crimson. Well done with the rich energy livery. And there we get a nice little view from the helicopter. A nice, like I said, a nice sunny day. A lot of the times when I get out here onto the Nordschleife in Forza Motorsport 7, it's kind of a more overcast day. But you can see a lot of brightness gleaming from the sky, that big old ball of fire. And here we go, back down. You notice there's a lot of elevation change here. You're out in the woods, the hilly bits here in southeastern Germany. Excuse me, southwestern Germany. You're just outside of Frankfurt. I'm trying to think of some of the other cities that are in the vicinity. I think Frankfurt being one of the larger ones. Mesosphere out there in front. Crimson in second. Craytrim in third. Audrex in fourth. Let's go back to Funtang, who was closing in on Audrex. Audrex had made a couple of mistakes. There goes Funtang up onto the curbing. And here comes Audrex in the front-wheel drive ACR Neon, drifting it out through that left-hander, and now Funtang able to make the pass. So Funtang, who was just kind of haunting Audrex, who has made a couple of mistakes each time that we put the camera on him, and now Funtang able to take advantage of that. And it looks like Audrex perhaps getting 2 wheels off into the grass once again, and Sir Mighty saying, Funtang, my boy, you're my boy, Funtang. Take a look at that replay there as Funtang catching up with Audrex. We'll keep the instant replays. I know I said that this was going to be a no-frills broadcast, but we still got the instant replay. That's right. Let's go up there to the Crimson in second with that rich energy. And now entering the long straightaway up ahead. You've got a couple of slow corners before you hit the GP circuit once again. Let's go ahead and take a look at our vehicle situation here with Crimson and see how things are looking. Less than 10% tire wear, front and back, 77% fuel in the tank. So they may not need to make any stops here in this 4-lapper out here at the Nordschleife Plus GP 24 hours of Nürburgring circuit. What's up there, Pixel? Good to see you. And there's Mesosphere and Crimson now returning to what would be the final right-hander here at the GP underneath that BMW Driving Pleasure Bridge. And across the line they'll go for the beginning of lap number 2. Mesosphere into Yokohama already. Now maybe adding another second of distance between he and Crimson. Let's go to Popolok, who's moved up now to 6th position. I think we saw Popolok as far back as maybe 9th or 10th, and now finding himself out in front of Iceman Misfit. Iceman Misfit going to look to the inside, throws the tires, smoke hot on the brakes. Popolok's going to go wide into Yokohama. That leaves room there for Misfit, and Misfit now is going to jump up to 6th position with Popolok into 7th. Slow Motion Fire in 8th. Got to go fast in 9th. And again, we lost Proud Beetle and Fear the Fun, unfortunately, here in this opening race of Season 30. I'm Dustin Moore with the call here. After a little bit of a hiatus there through the late summer months, it's a beautiful fall evening here in South Central Texas. I hope you all are having a fantastic evening or perhaps a late night, maybe even an early morning on a Wednesday. But for those of you who are, in fact, on Tuesdays, hopefully making your Tuesday suck a little bit less here. You got Monday, which for those of you who are American football fans, you can watch Monday Night Football, and then Wednesday puts you at midway through the week. Thursday, well, you're almost to Friday, and then, of course, Friday is Friday, and then on into the weekend you go. But Tuesdays, man, Tuesdays are always a hard evening for me. It's just like, man, what am I going to do? Well, you don't have to ask yourself that for the next 4 weeks. We'll be bringing it to you live here from week 1 all the way to the final week, week number 5, leading into the Thanksgiving holiday. That's what I really love about this season number 30 is here we are, early October. We'll conclude things just before the Thanksgiving holiday, and here in America, for those up in Canada, we'll be into the 1 week after, I think, the Thanksgiving holiday, and then, man, we could stuff our faces. Mesosphere in first as they head back out to the Nordschleife. Crimson, who's not able to gain any ground. They're in second. We talked to Crimson. I mistakenly thought of him as Cratrium before this one got kicked off, thinking he would be on the pole position. It was Cratrium who was on the pole position. Crimson, who was in second with a 2:17, I think, time, and now has found himself up to second with Mesosphere just cruising. Mesosphere had a 2:15.005. It was Cratrium who actually had the top time with a 2:14, the only one in the 2:14s. But now Cratrium finds himself back there in third. Let's go to Futang in fourth, who made that pass around Audrex a little bit ago, about 3 or 4 minutes ago. As you can see, they're pulling a, let's see, Slow Motion Fire's got a 10:09 here. Proud Beetle says, well, I baked cookie for my friends, and here's karma coming back the opposite way. You baked cookies for your friends, and karma is hitting you now? That's why you've got the disconnect? Oh, I must be missing something in that that discussion there, because baking cookies for your friends should give you positive vibes. Here comes Futang now. Out onto the speedy bits here of the Nordschleife, and this is a tricky area too. You've got the radio mast, and actually he's past it. But there was a radio mast back there that kind of gives you an indication that, you know, you're in. Actually, no, I take that back. He's coming up onto that section here in a little bit. But I always look for that radio mast. That's a good indicator of where I am at on the track to remind me. Although I've gotten pretty darn accustomed to the Nordschleife. This track has been in the Forza Motorsport franchise since at least the second iteration. It may very well have been in the first Forza Motorsport. I can't quite remember. But for those of you who are fans or were fans of the Project Gotham Racing franchise, you'll know that that version of the Nürburgring eerily reminiscent to what was in the Forza Motorsport franchise. Well, that's because those assets actually transferred over from Project Gotham Racing. Dan Greenwald and company, who worked on that franchise, then became Turn 10 Studios and then started Forza Motorsport back there in 2005. Well, for some time, that track was just a copy and paste almost of what was in Project Gotham Racing, and then they've done some tweaks since to make it a little bit more realistic, and that's what we've got here today in Forza Motorsport 7. What will the future of Forza Motorsport lend us in terms of track authenticity? Well, that remains to be seen. We'll see what that is going to look like as we head into 2020. I'm pretty excited about it. Like I'd mentioned here at the beginning of the broadcast, this is not a full return here of Virtual Autosports. I'll be doing these broadcasts on Tuesdays, but not the Thursdays or the Sundays. That being said, when the new Forza Motorsport title or whatever it's going to be called arrives, we'll see if things change. But for right now, let's keep it only to Tuesdays, and I'll be happy with that. Mesosphere, our race leader here, lap number 2 of 4 in the week 1 of Season 30 Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, put together by Slow Motion Fire. And as you can see with the graphic there at the lower third, again, it's not a changing graphic as it has been in broadcast past, but instead you can very clearly make out where you can find all the information about this series over there at reddit.com/r/FM4. Here in the 263 horsepower Dodge SRT4 ACR, the American Club Racer, that 2.4 liter inline 4 turbocharged, brings it up to a B600. So about midway through the performance index realm or spectrum here in Forza Motorsport 7, and Futang has really put Audrex far into his rearview mirror, and there goes Audrex off track. Perhaps I'm jinxing Audrex here, because Audrex, every time we put the camera on him, something goes wrong, and with that mistake, he's going to allow Iceman Misfit to close in a little bit more, although Iceman Misfit does not even see Audrex up ahead. So, oh, there goes Iceman. He's going to do a little bit of mowing of the lawn there, take care of things for the landscapers here at the Nordschleife. They got plenty of lawn to tend to, and Iceman's going to go ahead and save them a little bit of time. But yes, B600 here in the performance index spectrum of Forza Motorsport 7. And again, they have not altered this car to all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, and that perhaps is maybe why you're seeing some of the issues out here. Front-wheel drive with the VIS racing kit. Front, side skirts, and tail, and then the wing. The wing is actually a Wings West spoiler. There on the back. Deck, lid, boot, whatever you call it in your neck of the woods. Mesosphere still out in front. Crimson still in second. Cratrim in third. Let's go to Funtang there in fourth. Let's see if he is closing in, perhaps on Cratrim. He is, I can't tell. It doesn't look like it. Our ticker at the top not giving us a interval. But, oh, there he is. There's Cratrium up ahead, and Funtang now going to find himself up into the kitty litter a bit. Back up over the curbing and returns to the racing surface. THD Reckless saying that car looks like it wants to kill itself. Like whichever person you turn to the car is literally trying to fight them into the wall. Yeah, this is very true, and Audrex probably no better example. And actually, Futang now off into the grass, and that's going to send him a little bit squirrely, able to return back onto the track without incident. But those little mistakes add up. Those put you tenths, hundreds, maybe even thousands of seconds. Sure, thousands are much lesser bits of margin separation between you and the other car, but then hundreds and then tenths and maybe in a second or two back behind the driver closest to you, furthest for you, whichever brings you that much further away from either a podium finish or a mid-pack finish. And in this case, Funtang in fourth position, looking to try to grab himself a podium spot. Let's go up there to Cratrium in third as they get ready to hit the long. I'm going to kind of call this the front straightaway here. It's on the Nordschleife before you head out to the real front straightaway of the GP circuit. But you do got a couple of more corners here before you wrap things up on the Nordschleife. You would take a right to conclude a lap out here on the Nord. And there is a pit lane here on the Nordschleife, so they could have run just this circuit all in itself, but had decided to go in at the full thing with the whole enchilada. Flying Evo, welcome back. Great to see you again. Great to see you guys. You guys probably could have done without me. I mean, the Forza community goes on. Things go on. You got Forza Racing Championship that's happening. Tora is doing things like crazy. I know all the teams. And actually, we'll talk about that here as we get ready for lap number 3, about the Forza Racing Championship, my thoughts, and how things have been going here through the first, what has been 3 weeks at this point. But yes, I'm happy to be back to a much lesser degree. No frills broadcasting. We don't have all the fancy stuff. I've got instant replay going, but I'm committed to coming back for FM4 for broadcasting these events. I love the group of guys, and obviously for you gals who may be watching, thinking about joining, most certainly do. This is a very inclusive and diverse group of skill level, backgrounds, nationalities. So would love to see you out here on the track, reddit.com/r/FM4. And to be back with these folks is a privilege, and I'm honored. But there won't be the Thursday or the Sunday broadcast, so don't be looking for those. But definitely join us here on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central. Between now and, what is it, November, I can't even think of what the next, or the last, November the 5th. November the 5th is when the Week 5 finale takes place out at Yas Marina for 56 laps. Yeah, that's how things happen here at FM4. You do 4 weeks of 2 races each night, and then that 5th week, the finale, is just a long, it's like a semi-endurance event, a short endurance event. It's not an exhaustingly long enduro, but long enough to necessitate maybe a little bit of tire changing and fuel refilling. Flying Evo saying, I couldn't join this season because life stuff, but season 31 is a certain one for me. And I look forward to season 31. I would think that it's going to happen here at the end of 2019. Of course, I'll catch up with Slow Motion Fire and crew and see how that's going. But, man, Slow Motion Fire has been doing a bang-on job with hosting these events for the last, I don't know, probably close to 10 years now at this point, dating back to the Forza Motorsport 4 era. THD Reckless saying, I hope the new Forza comes out soon so I can join y'all too. In 2020, that's when we're expecting the next Forza Motorsport, or whatever it's going to be called. There's no telling. The fact that Turn 10 Studios has decided to take that 2-year release cycle out of the equation and says, hey, you know what, we're going to take a lot of we're going to take a lot of input from the fans to help change the future of Forza in a way that maybe hasn't been possible in the past because of that 2-year release cycle. The way that Dan Greenawalt and Chris Sasaki and Brian Eckberg have been talking about the new development approach, the new development approach with the Forza, again, presumably Forza Motorsport title. A lot more of a, it's going to take longer to develop that title, and then taking a lot more feedback into the equation in that development. Not necessarily just trying to get one out the door, but saying, hey, what's going to work best for us in the future, and probably what's going to work best for us for the future of the Forza Racing Championship. Go back to Kratrim, who's running here in 3rd. It's still Crimson up in 2nd. Fuatang in 4th. Audrex in 5th. Let's go to Iceman Misfit in 6th. He made that move around Popolok there in 7th through the Yokohama corner back on turn 1, the start of lap number 2. We are on lap number 3 of 4. So anyway, I told you guys I wanted to share my thoughts on the Forza Racing Championship. For those who maybe you're not following my Twitter, I did put a kind of a Twitter, it's an attachment so that you guys could see a little bit more dialogue than just the however many characters you can have in Twitter these days, 256 or whatever it is. I put up my thoughts there on Twitter at Virtual Autosports, and that's VRTL Autosports. And basically my thoughts were, hey, I think this is the future of Forza Racing Championship, or at least I think this is where the Forza Racing Championship needs to go, and by that I mean the team setup, and to be even a little bit more precise, the professional team. And by professional, that's by no means a knock to those teams who definitely have a very rigorous organizational structure and put in a lot of effort, maybe not just only on Forza Motorsport, but across various racing titles on different platforms, and have very, very well constructed team going for them. It's by no means a knock to them by saying that they're not considered professional teams. The professional part comes in when the folks over at the Forza Racing Championships were considering, or at least, again, this is my interpretation. This is my interpretation of things. We're considering, hey, how do we take Forza Racing Championship to the next level? Well, bringing in these teams that actually have financial backing or are able to contribute to perhaps the framework, the foundation of FRC, by giving a little bit of, I guess, perhaps a little bit of economic boost. Again, this is only my interpretation. I can't say any of this is certain, but a little bit more money then helps FRC put a little bit more into production value, of course, but then also ensure that the drivers are obligated to uphold maybe some of the expectations, some of the standards, some of the protocol that has been put in place, because now you've brought in teams who are signing contracts, who are saying, hey, our drivers will definitely adhere to this, that, and the other. But then also you establish kind of a partnership amongst these different teams. You've got teams who may very well be saying, hey, we're going to commit to doing Forza Racing Championship for as long as you welcome us back. And if that means building this partnership where it helps put a little bit more notoriety and a little bit more of a, I guess, just a reputation, because now you could say, hey, we've got Red Bull Racing and Williams and Lazarus and some of these other very popular teams within the community who are supporting this endeavor and are going to be with us moving forward. It helps bring a little bit more credibility to the league. Now, would I rather see Forza Racing Championship morph into kind of what we've seen with the GT, the Gran Turismo FIA World Championship? My answer would be yes. I think what Gran Turismo, Polyphony Digital, and FIA have done with the GT Championships is just phenomenal. The production value, the structure of the system, the way that the races happen incrementally throughout the year versus, hey, let's do all these races over the course of the next 5, 6, well, it's probably even more than that. It's like 8 or 9 weekends. Actually putting together like a year-long, or at least a season worth of action where you can get the drivers together in a single location where they can be racing side by side with one another, versus what we have with FRC, which I know I get some of the limitations. I understand some of the limitations of bringing drivers in weekend after weekend is just not feasible. But what I think the FRC lacks, because of it having this weekly cadence, is that it's a very sterile production, in that you've got the commentators who are there, they're on site, on set, but then you don't have any of the drivers visible anywhere. And what's cool is they were able to bring some of the team managers, and I think maybe even one or two of the drivers have shown up for those live interviews in between race events. But the FRC, just in my opinion, just feels too sterile. It doesn't have the grandeur, the I don't know, the same exciting environment that something like the GT FIA and GT Gran Turismo FIA Championship does. And maybe one day FRC will get there, or maybe FRC will continue down this path of having this team set up with very regular weekly racing built out as its structure, and then you won't see the racers until those championship rounds. That may very well be the path that FRC goes for the future. I have no clue. This is all my own interpretation, but again, I think where they went with this season, they had to go to get a little bit more support, to get leagues or teams bought in on the concept of the team-based racing, and then maybe that will help bring in more support, more backing for the future, and then perhaps the format will change, and then maybe the individual racing aspect, the single driver versus a team format will return, perhaps. Going back to Audrex there in 5th position. THD Reckless. I just hope they replace Brands Hatch and add a few more tracks. You want to replace Brands Hatch, eh? They're in the future of Forza. I've grown to appreciate Brands Hatch. I'm not a big Brands Hatch fan, but we've had some great races at Brands Hatch here on the channel, and so I think that track provides very, very competitive racing versus maybe the GP plus Nordschleife that we're seeing here today, as the field has definitely stretched out. Mesosphere, who's been leading the race ever since the beginning, coming out of turn number 1, is still out there in front. Mesosphere with a 9:33 quick time. Kremsen in 2nd, who we're watching here. Craytrim in 3rd. And Craytrim, again, was on pole for this race and has fallen back to 3rd. Futang in 4th. Audrex in 5th. Iceman Misfit in 6th. Got to go fast in 7th. Slow Motion Fire in 8th. And then we lost a couple of drivers there in Fear the Fun and Proud Beetle. And Popalock is now out as well, which is unfortunate because he was running as far up as 6th before dropping back to 7th and now out of the race. Let's go to Craytrim. I hope they add an IndyCar category to FRC. I just hate Brands Hatch. I also don't like Australia, but I understand that it's a good track, and it's not a track that I'm good at. Brands Hatch is just a plane to drive for everyone, or a pain to drive for everyone, says THD Reckless there in the pit lane. Obviously, we encourage you guys to share your opinions, your thoughts, maybe about the action that's happening, and things will get a little bit more interesting here as we head into race number 2 out at Long Beach, the full circuit. We'll bring things a little bit closer together as, again, they have thinned out quite a bit, and hopefully those drivers who have DNF'd here in this race, we'll be able to see them in race number 2. You do get a drop week. Whichever week you have the least amount of points in out of the 5, they'll drop that, and then they'll tally up the score, the points that you have through the 4 best weeks that you've run, and that'll count toward your championship. And what's cool about the Forza Spec Racing Series is after you have completed a season, the driver with the most points obviously takes home the championship, which mostly entails bragging rights, but then you also get to pick the vehicle for the subsequent season. And we're watching Craytrim right now. He, again, with the most championships across FM4, currently sits at 9 total championship wins. He was the season 29 victor and picked this 2005 Dodge SRT4 ACR Neon. Going back here to Audrex in 5th. You can't find much competition in the full Nürburgring GP without a really filled grid, says Flying Eagle. Yeah, we had it looks like maybe 10 or 11 drivers enter this race. A couple who have disconnected. Yeah, 11 total drivers who entered. Yeah, and it really stretches out because obviously, like I mentioned, there's a great diversity, which is beautiful. That's the one thing that I think a lot of people should really take a liking to, is that you've got various skill levels, driver skill levels here in FM4, and so they encourage you, no matter how quick or how slow you think you are or may actually be, you're encouraged to participate and put those skills to the test here against their other drivers. But then that means when you get out into a circuit like this, things thin out, and they thin out pretty quickly. And Audrex there running in 5th position, trying to catch back up with Funtang, who's there in 4th. Funtang making that pass a little bit earlier on, and we'll go back to that pass here in our instant replay. As Audrex was able to get the front-wheel drive Dodge Neon a little bit sideways, coming through the Nordschleife, about midway through the Nordschleife, and then Funtang made that pass. They're in that magenta NVIDIA car. THD Reckless saying, why is the gravel trap right next to the circuit? I hate it, I swear. Oh, man, yeah. The Nürburgring, and I don't know if you're talking about the GP circuit, because there's one that has the sand trap to the outside, and then here on the Nordschleife, well, there's no sand here on the Nordschleife, so you must be talking about the one on the GP. Yeah, you got to be very careful going into that hairpin. You run wide, and you'll be definitely collecting some rocks into the tires as you head through there. And hopping back up to Crimson, you can see the driver's side window, a little crack there, so perhaps Crimson getting up into the wall a bit. He's got that Rich Energy liveried car, and back behind him is Cratrim, who has the and very kind of him, Crimson, saying, hey, I get it why you mistake me with Cratrim, because Cratrim has the white car, which uses the same branding logo of of Rich Energy, which I think is on purpose because of the craziness behind the Rich Energy saga, which I won't get into it, but man, what a story there is behind that. And so these guys, Cratrim and Crimson, kind of sharing similarity in car design. That's not why I mistake the two. I definitely just did it because, again, having to dust off the rust or shave the rust off of my broadcasting skills here after a couple of weeks or several weeks of time off. And here comes Crimson now off the curbing, the runoff curbing, back up the hill a little bit, or at least part of the elevated area here of the Nordschleife circuit before heading back down and then preparing for the second carousel. Mesosphere continues to be our race leader out there in front, and perhaps somebody can bring me up to speed on the design of his car. But Mesosphere, I believe, always designs his own cars. The guy is an artiste there in the paint booth of Forza Motorsport. So I think these all come by way of his hand, or perhaps his wife, who I think also does some of the artwork in Forza Motorsport 7 using the livery creator. And there goes Mesosphere through the second and what is going to be the final carousel for him out here on the Nordschleife plus the GP circuit before coming across the finish line here in the next minute or so to wrap things up here in race number 1 of week number 1. We'll be heading out to Long Beach following this race. So yes, we are going to tidy things up a bit, get a little bit more claustrophobic out here on the track for you. And it's Crimson, who, again, qualified third, has made his way up to second, and that looks to be where he's going to finish here in this one, picking himself up 47 points behind Meza, who will get 50 for that first place finish. Third gets 45, fourth gets 43, fifth gets 40, then it's 36, 34, 32, 30 from 6th position on down to 9th. 10th will get 28, 24, 22, 20, on down to 13. Of course, we don't have 13 drivers in this race here tonight. All the way down to 6 points if you finish 23rd. If you're watching and you're the least bit excited or curious about joining FM4, head on over to reddit.com/r/FM4. You can join the season, and even if you don't get any time in here on week number 1, hop in week number 2, and you'll still be in contention for the championship. And we'll head to Mesosphere, who's getting ready to cross the line. There he goes. Congratulations for Mesosphere picking up the win here. Week number 1, race number 1. as he heads into Yokohama and cooling down here. Crimson in second, Craytream in third. We'll have to go a little bit further back to find Funtang there in fourth position. THD Reckless says, I was on about Brands Hatch. I like the GP's gravel trap. Not going to lie, it makes the turn really difficult on and off the on complex and on Indy cars, and you want to lose it a bit, but you really don't. So in general, I like the gravel trap here at the GP, but he's talking about Brands Hatch. Where's the one at Brands Hatch? I'm trying to recall the one on Brands Hatch. It's that first first right-hander, isn't it? Which is a very, very tricky corner. And there goes Funtang across the line, followed by Audrex. Let's go back to Iceman Misfit. There in sixth, Druids, the Druids complex. Oh, Druids. So that's coming back toward the start-finish line, isn't it? There's Iceman Misfit now across the line. Got to go fast. Now back out on the long straightaway here at the Nordschleife. Back behind him, he's got slow motion fire at eighth. And again, we unfortunately lost two drivers entering this race. Maybe we'll grab a few more here for race number 2. While those guys are finishing things up, let's go ahead and pull Mesosphere into the driver's spotlight. Congratulations, Mesosphere, coming out in the top spot. You qualified second, finish in first.
Yeah, it seemed to not very good at the GP circuit compared to CT. So,
but CT was on it for qualifying and then fell back to third position, finished third in the race with Crimson there in second. I mean, it was pretty much smooth sailing for you. You got the lead there coming out of Yokohama, and that was it. That was the story for you. You weren't contested for the rest of the race, so pretty much it was a mind game for you against your focus, your own focus.
Yeah, and trust me, it wavered at a couple of points, but yeah, generally the last lap, for instance, I'm keeping it clean. I don't care if it's 2 or 3 or even 5 seconds slower than previous laps. Keeping it clean. So, hence, yeah, just cruising for the last lap. But yeah, it was lots of fun early on. Chasing CT around the GP circuit, I can see where I was slow. But I'm not entirely sure what happened to him as we went on to the... unfortunately, you had the blackout.
Yeah.
I was watching this. I'm watching the stream as we're going around. But you had the blackout, and just as that happened, he was going onto the Nordschleife, the first left-hander, and I literally drove right around him on the outside. And so that's where my race became... Because over the next few corners through that section, CT seemed to really struggle with the car for some reason. I made 3-4 seconds, and I just eased away then. Made a couple of mistakes on lap 2-ish, which cost me, well, it was quite a few seconds to Crimson, because Crimson was the one chasing at the time. But yeah, generally, it was nice, clean race, and I got to thank Fear in particular for selecting that circuit, because it's my favourite in the entire game. I've done more laps, literally, of the Nürburgring Nordschleife than I have done of any other circuit in Forza, and I mean on a one-to-one basis, not distance.
Wow, that's incredible. And yeah, Fear the Fun, unfortunately, since he picked it, he was probably excited about it too, but got the DNF early on in the race. Talking with Mesosphere at a 9:35.0, and nobody else was really close to that. Crimson had a dirty lap. You said you were keeping it clean, and sure enough, you were able to manage a clean lap. How are you taking to this front-wheel drive, 263 horsepower Dodge Neon?
Results-based analysis says I'm taking to... Well, I hate the car.
You hate the car. Because of looks, because of performance?
I accelerate,
what is it?
It makes smoke, and I go straight. There's no turning anymore. So I have to wait before I can get on the throttle. I have to wait a bit longer so it's actually pointing in the right direction, and then you can go. Because up until then, it's very much a case of if you get on the gas, you go understeer wherever you're pointing. So, yeah, I hate it.
And we'll take, so you hate the car itself in terms of performance. We'll take a look at it here after we get out of the race results so everybody can see it. But tell us a little bit about the livery that you've opted for here on the car this season.
Right, this livery is actually a temporary livery. This is a stream livery, so technically it's sponsored by me. And we have a custom piece of artwork from Ice Rabbit Design on the side, which is the anime lady, and she came up with the whole kind of ink paint school kind of effect thing, and it's what I run on my Honda Odyssey. I've run it in several series, and you can probably I don't know whether you had the right camera angle view, but there's a big Lazarus logo on the top because I'm part of the Lazarus team, if you see what I mean. Yes, the guys in FRC. I'm the slow boy content creator, but we do the artwork and things like that and thing. But we are part of the team.
Yep.
And so I run a big pink Lazarus logo up on the roof.
You guys can catch the Lazarus crew there on the FRC on Saturdays, as Mesosphere is alluding to. And, yeah, I mean, you hate the car, but it looks good out there. And, of course, we'll get a better look at it as we put the camera on the air throughout the race at Long Beach. But, yes, changing it up, going from the Nürburgring to Long Beach, is that going to change the tune at all? Do you do any adjustments there?
Confession time? I haven't tuned it.
Okay, fair enough. You're taking it as is.
Yeah, well, there's no aero on it. The only thing I did was increase the brake pressure and move it backwards slightly.
Gotcha.
Tire pressures, yeah, I suppose I must have changed those at one point, but the springs are stock. The anti-roll bars are stock. The differential is... No, the differential's not stock because that had a stupid setting. And was even more one tire fire. So this isn't actually tuned in any way, shape, or form. I can't do anything to the gearbox. So I'm just going to find out how it drives here. And if I need to make a change, it'll be after qualifying. But I haven't made a tune for this. I don't like it. I don't want to put that much effort into it. But if it wins, it wins. It's great.
If it wins, it wins. And when it did there at the Nürburgring with Mesosphere, congratulations on that one. Let's see if you can go back-to-back here at Long Beach.
That's the plan. Thank you very much.
All right. There's Mesosphere, and I see Crimson there. And Crimson able to come out in second after qualifying in third. So you move up a spot there at the Nürburgring. Again, like Mesosphere had said, we went to a black screen here on the broadcast with a couple of the drivers dropping out. So did you see what happened to Krejcim and what gave you the opportunity to move up?
I don't know, but I guess that's what happens when you team up with a bunch of corporate suits, doesn't it?
You just mysteriously your car goes to shambles and you fall back a little bit, huh?
I can't comment on this specific situation. I wouldn't know a thing about that.
Chat with Crimson here in the driver's spotlight as we get ready for race number 2 of week 1, season 30. I was talking with Mesosphere saying, hey, we're going from the Nürburgring, the GP Nordschleife circuit, now out to Long Beach. So a very different environment, and in terms of tuning, Mesosphere is not doing a whole heck of a lot, and he alluded to the fact that there's no Forza Aero on this, so it's not adjustable. That's different for the FM4 series. Usually there is the Forza Aero on there, so does that change? Does that mess with you a little bit in terms of not being able to add a little bit more downforce to this car?
I am personally terrible in front-wheel drive, even if I have aero or not, so that's all I can really say on that. I've just thrown my baseline tune at this car and it seems to be okay. So
very good. And so baseline tune for you, Mesosphere, not too much tuning for him. What's it going to take for you? Obviously being quicker. I know that's the easy answer, but what's it going to take for you to keep up with Mesosphere and maybe try to take him down here at Long Beach?
I honestly don't know. The concise and accurate answer would be to just get good.
Get good. You're like the gosh, I can't remember his name, but the Greinke of Forza Racing here. Greinke, a baseball player. His answers are very succinct and to the point. Crimson here telling us that, hey, I just got to get good. That's the only thing that's going to give me the advantage here of taking down Mesosphere out at Long Beach, and it'll be 20 laps around this one. Car track combination, are you excited about it? Maybe you're not too thrilled about the car, but what about Long Beach?
I mean, we're back home on our home turf with Rich Energy, better than white bikes. So hopefully we can bring home a good result here too.
Very good. Crimson, best of luck to you. We'll see you here during qualifying.
Thank you.
All right, Crimson, man, the comedian here of FM4. If you guys could top that, join FM4, reddit.com/r/FM4. We'd love to get your banter here during our driver spotlight sessions as we get ready for race number 2 of week number 1. And again, if you join in week number 2, you're still in the running for the championship. So no reason, no excuse not to grab yourself the Dodge ACR Neon and get out here on the track. We'll talk about those upgrades in a little bit, but again, everything you need to know, reddit.com/r/FM4. Getting ready for qualifying here in just a bit. Taking a look at the chat. This race ought to be a little bit closer, says Slow. Proud Beetle, are you jumping back in for the race? And so they're trying to get some of the drivers who were in on that first race and unfortunately had the disconnects, trying to get them back in here. I see Fear the Fun is all set. And then the other one, Popalack, who was in race number 1. I don't see him on the board here for race number 2, which is unfortunate. Maybe we will see Popalack back in week number 2. Week number 2 will include the full circuit alternate version out there at Monza, followed by the Coast Loop reverse circuit out at Rio de Janeiro. So that's what you got in store for 3 and 4, race 3 and 4 of week 2. Race 5 and 6 includes Laguna Seca, the full circuit. Obviously, there's no other version of that, but Virginia International Raceway, the South Circuit, at night, which maybe Slow Motion Fire is going to go ahead and throw the daytime scenario into that one, as well as there will be no lighting out there at VIR. It'll make it very difficult, although I encourage Slow Motion Fire, if he wants to keep that element of difficulty for that race, he can most certainly do that. That'll be race number 6, week number 3 on October 22nd. And on October 29th, that's a Tuesday. All the races are on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. Week number 4, Test Track Airfield. That's always a fun one as they go through some of the hangars there at the test circuit. So you want to take a look at that one and watch that one. That's going to be all kinds of fun. And then the second race there for week number 4 will be out at the Daytona Sport Car Circuit. And then that takes us to the week 5 finale on November the 5th. Yas Marina North Circuit at night. 56 lapper. Warner's Ghost is joining the fun here in week number 1. Warner's Ghost out there on the track for the first time in week 1. Good to see him out there, and perhaps going to get himself familiarized with the Dodge ACR before going into week number 2. Back behind him is Mesosphere. Audrex is in. Foontang, Misfit, Slow Motion Fire, Fear the Fun, Cratrim, Crimson, and that'll be the 9 of the 10 who I think were in the lobby. Of course, I was the 10th one in the lobby, that's why. So here we go, qualifying 3 laps around the the Long Beach full circuit. And for those of you who may be thinking, oh, this track is pretty familiar, well, they've got some IndyCar races that they do out here and Formula E as well, and then also Stadium Truck, which is just insane to watch. They put some ramps out here, and the amount of air that those trucks get is just insane. So all kinds of fun out here on the city circuit of Long Beach whenever they do set it up. And there goes, that's gonna be Borda's Ghost heading right into that tire wall, that right hander. That's probably one of the more trickier corners of the track. And of course, once we get out of qualifying and into the actual race scenario, that's one of those corners that you got to be very careful with, because if you get up into the wall, then you got traffic behind you, and that can make things pretty ugly really quickly. And here comes Audrex now. Audrex finishing 5th there at the Nürburgring after giving up a spot to Foontang. Maybe going to try to claim back a couple of more points here out at Long Beach. And again, or as always, Slow Motion Fire, once the race activity has concluded tonight, we'll go into the standings and apply all the points to the official scoreboard or the scorebook, whatever the name of it is. And you can catch those at reddit.com/r/FM4. And then as a heads up for all of our racers who are watching here tonight, and for those of you who are maybe joining us a little bit later in the broadcast, what we're going to do here, and we've done this before, but we've done a replay of the race. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tidy it up. I'm going to drop that countdown off the front, get you right into the racing action on a replay following tonight's broadcast. That way you all can watch it back, especially for the racers. I know the racers love to come back and kind of see things from the broadcast view and kind of chat it up with their fellow drivers out there on the track, but then from the convenience and the comfort of their chair, watching from afar versus being behind the wheel here. And I'm watching Iceman Misfit get back now into the right-hander for the second time, and he's going to go ahead and avoid the tire wall. You get right on that front bumper view. It always makes it look like they're heading right toward the tire wall, but of course, the more the wider you can run that turn without hitting the tire wall, the more speed, more momentum that you carry through there, which sets you up nicely for that long straightaway. So it's a tricky balance of maintaining momentum and keeping the car out of the tire wall, because you accumulate some damage to these vehicles and it's into pit lane, and that would be disastrous with just 20 laps here in today's race. You don't want to find yourself spending any chunk of that time getting damage repaired. And so right now it's going to be Mesosphere with a quick lap of a 131. Make that Cratrium now, who's come across the line at a 139. And that's a 130.9. So Cratrium with the top time. That'll be Mesosphere, then Crimson, Fear the Fun, Misfit, Slow, Born as Ghost, and Funtang with Audrex. Audrex perhaps with a dirty lap, putting himself all the way at the back, but that's okay. He's got this one last flying lap to make it up. Try to set his quickest time. I'm Dustin Moore. Good to have you all here on a Tuesday evening, and like I had mentioned back during our Nürburgring race, a beautiful Tuesday, a fall Tuesday evening here in South Central Texas. Although it's been quite warm, it hasn't felt very fall-like. That looks to change here this weekend, and so I hope no matter where you all are that you're having a fantastic start to the week. If not, well, maybe we're making things a little bit more bearable for you here as we approach the halfway mark happening here tomorrow with Hump Day, Wednesday. And then we'll roll on into the weekend with another round of the Forza Racing Championship. They had to change things up a little bit with one of the teams dropping out, but you can catch that action on Forza Mixer and Twitch, both their Twitch and Mixer channel, live this Saturday at 12 p.m. Central. That's 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern. Then you do the math for your respective area. Let's go take a look at these qualifying results. It's going to be Mesosphere with a 130.8. But let's see, 138.83 compared to Cratrium's 138.43. So Cratrium is just going to edge out Mesosphere to claim the pole position there by 0.04 of a second, followed by Crimson at a 131.0. Then you've got Fear the Fun at a 131.4. Iceman Misfit at a 131.5. Audrex at a 131, but that's a dirty lap. So the quickest dirty lap will always be slower than the slowest clean lap. That is to say that Audrex, with the only dirty lap here during qualifying, will find himself at the very back of the pack to start this one. He's got some work cut out for him, but perhaps that could work to his favor as they head into turn number 2. That left-hander, will he be able to scout out and work his way through a hole if there is any contact and craziness there into that second turn, that left-hander, before you hit the roundabout with the fountain near the Bubba Gump Shrimp Factory off to the right-hand side here at Long Beach. 20 laps at the full circuit. We'll get things going here pretty quickly. I don't see any drivers in the queue for interview section, but that's okay. We'll catch them after the race, and our driver's getting readied up, and it looks like maybe one other driver. Yep, Proud Beetle appears to have shown up, and that'll put Proud Beetle at the back of the pack since he didn't even qualify at all. He'll be back there behind Audrex, or at least beside Audrex for this race. What are you guys thinking? Who's going to win this one? Is it going to be Mesosphere? Is it going to be Cratrium? Maybe Crimson even? Can Funtang make it happen? Funtang finishing 4th there at the Nürburgring. Will Audrex be able to make his way all the way back through the back of the pack? Hey, what about Fear the Fun or Iceman Misfit, who will be back in the 2nd or 3rd row? Lots of question marks. Lots of possibilities. Who are you all rooting for? Let it be known there in the chat. Love to engage with you guys throughout the race, and thank you all so much for tuning in here this evening. Great to have you. Great to be back. And again, this is just a semi-return with Tuesday racing in the Forza Spec Racing Series. There will be no Thursday or Sunday broadcast as there had been in the past, but I had to come back to FM4, man. These guys, they treated me good as their broadcaster, and always have a good time with these events. So very happy to have returned. And here we go. Kick the tires. light the fires. Mesosphere, Cratrium, 2 and 1 respectively up here to turn number 2. And here's where I said, you got to be careful. Let's not get too chaotic. Keeping it clean. Look at that. All the neon noses turned in the right direction, and now up to the fountain they go. There's Fear the Fun in his American Online / Taco Bell livery car. Cratrium going to make a move to the inside line as they go through turn, I think that's maybe 5 or 6 here at the Long Beach circuit. No names on this track, so really just got to get familiar with the numbers. Iceman Misfit there up to 4th position, although he's got some cars to the inside. Let's go to Iceman there in 4th. And let's try to get a view of this through the bumper view, or the hood view. There's Meza. Cratrium in 3rd. Crimson in 2nd. Oh, and there goes Iceman into the wall. Back down the back straightaway, and there goes Fear the Fun to the inside line. Iceman Misfit to the outside. Now that's going to set Iceman up for the inside here through the final left-hander. And now Iceman, he's going to have to go up to the inside line or out to the outside line, which is going to push Fear the Fun in toward the apex. Fortunately, Fear the Fun was able to avoid contact with that wall, and they all come out of it nice and clean across the line for the start of lap number 2. Slow motion fire back behind them. They're in 6th position. 7th is Audrex. Futang in 8th. Born as Ghost in 9th, Proud Beetle in 10th. Let's go back up to our leaders here with Crimson in 2nd, trying to keep Mesosphere within reach. Mesosphere led the race out at the Nürburgring and did so for the entirety of that one. Crimson wanted to change that narrative up a little bit here at the Long Beach circuit. Will Cratrium be able to close back in? He's there in 3rd, and that's exactly what happened last time. Cratrium, I think, had the 2nd quickest qualifying time here at Long Beach, is now giving that back up to Crimson. So something about qualifying, Cratrium's all good and happy with, but when it comes to being out here with the other Dodge Neons bumper to bumper, he's just not able to stay up there in the first 2 spots. Of course, Cratrium, very, very capable. Again, with the most championships in FM4 history at 9, having just won season number 29 and putting everybody into these Dodge Neons, he's more than capable of coming back up and having a shot here in these top 2 positions. There comes Mesosphere, and Mesosphere telling us there during the driver spotlight chat that as soon as he gets on the gas, it's tire smoke, tire squeal and tire smoke. And Proud Beetle there in the pit lane, the chat as it's otherwise known in the Twitch community, telling us that he was unable to qualify because of other stuff happening, but fortunately he's out here on the track. Crimson keeping Mesosphere within about a car length's worth of separation here, so good work by Crimson so far. Cratrium, I don't know, maybe a 2nd or 2 back behind here on lap number 3. Fear the Fun in 4th. Great run by him. Iceman Misfit in 5th. Audrex moving up quite nicely, who was at the back of the pack because of that dirty qualifying lap. He's in 6th. Slow Motion in 7th. Futang in 8th. Born as Ghost and Proud Beetle still back there, 9th and 10th respectively. Through that right-hander, past the tire wall. Your last or your penultimate right-hander. Actually, I take that back. Here comes the penultimate right-hander before you get ready for the one at the apex, or excuse me, at the hairpin, heading back toward the start-finish line. And Mesosphere going to go ahead and lead that charge once again. Crimson, though, not giving too much room there. Keeping very close tabs on the back bumper. And look at that. Well choreographed through the hairpin. And it's not even really I hesitate to really call it a true hairpin. Yes, the track is oriented in that fashion, but the way you approach that corner, the way you set up the entry there, it's just really kind of a sharp 90-degree right-hander, really. There's very little of a hairpin motion to that corner. And here comes Crimson now, looking to the inside, gets up onto the curbing and goes 2 wheels in the Dodge Neon. Able to bring it back onto all 4 wheels. Doesn't flip it, fortunately, because, again, if you head into pit lane because of damage here, that'll be detrimental to your race. Just 20 laps here, already on lap number 4. And you can see there they've got 21 laps. There will be a cool-down lap on this race, so don't mind that. It is, in fact, 20 laps. And let's go ahead and hop on board here with Crimson. Get onto the hood view. You can hear the blow-off valve there as they let off the accelerator. The turbocharged 2.4-liter inline 4, 263 horsepower. They've got the race exhaust, street engine block displacement, sport pistons and compression, race brakes, race springs and dampers, race front sway bar, and the race rear sway bar. Race chassis reinforcement and roll cage. Race weight reduction brings the car down to a 2,600-pound weight limit. Race clutch, race differential, sport tire compound with the work-designed DH 18-inch rims, both in the front and the rear. Those front tires at a 255 30/18s, and same can be said for the backs at 255 30. Sport front bumper, that's the VIS Racing. Wings West rear wing, VIS Racing bumper and side skirts. No conversion in terms of turbo or engine. So what they originally had in there was the 260 horsepower 2.4. Bump that up to 263, 286 foot-pounds of torque. And yes, keeping it front-wheel drive here in season number 3. Let's go back where there's a little bit more competition as Mesosphere starts to pull away from Crimson there. Fear the Fun, Audrex in 5th and 4th. Back behind Fear is Iceman Misfit, then Slow Motion Fire. Let's go ahead and go to Slow Motion Fire. And let's see how things look from his position. Hop up to Iceman Misfit, who is trying to find his way around. 5th place of Fear the Fun, and Iceman Misfit, man, look at that. A very erratic left-hander to bring in the right-hand entry. And now hard lost, but it's more like probably an amicable separation on both ends, but no longer the track sponsor out here at the Long Beach Circuit. It looks like maybe Fear the Fun back there, or excuse me, Food Tang back there losing. No, it was not Food Tank. I would have noticed that that magenta car quite easily. That was, gosh, was it Slow Motion? Somebody back there got a little bit crazy coming through turn number 2. Let's go back to Audrex in 4th. Love this area when you're driving the car, either in cockpit camera or on hood view. You get the resonating of the sound as you go through the downtown area there with the buildings on either side. Pretty good sound design here in Forza Motorsport 7. That's always been one of its high points, although some may say that the engine sounds have waned a little bit in terms of authenticity or sounding like they should. Maybe we'll see engine sounds get an overhaul into the next Forza title as the next Forza Motorsport or whatever it's going to be looks to land on the Scarlet platform, the codename Scarlet platform heading into 2020. We probably will get more news on that heading into E3 next spring. Right now we're stuck with FM7, which isn't bad. FM7 has had a pretty respectable life with a decent platform for esports and for things like what we're doing here tonight. Broadcasting has come a long way since the early days of the Forza franchise, and even just within the last 3 iterations, dating back to Forza Motorsport 5, things have gotten a lot better in terms of being able to spectate events like this, because it's one thing to to race them if you're a big-time racer, but for folks who are just genuinely interested in watching some of these faster drivers compete, these broadcast modes and, of course, these community-based events give us the capacity, the capability to do so as we watch Craytrim now closing in on Crimson. And this is a battle that just didn't come to fruition out there at the Nürburgring. Craytrim was never able to regain momentum after he lost it early on at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Now closing in on Crimson here on lap number 8, the start of lap number 8 here at Long Beach. What's up there, JB Daddy? Good to see you. JB Daddy saying, I'm crying about not seeing you. JB Daddy, it's good seeing you too, man. It has been a long time. And if I remember, man, you've been a part of what I've been doing dating back to the Forza Horizon 2 days, if I remember correctly. Thank you so much for finding the channel again, and glad to see you there in the pit lane, the Twitch chat. Mesosphere starting to establish that commanding lead, much like what we had seen out there at the Nürburgring, the GP plus the Nordschleife for those 4 laps, setting that pace once again here out at Long Beach, and now has a good 3, maybe 3.5 second lead here over Crimson and Craytrim, and that lead's only going to get larger as these two start to battle it out for position. And here comes Craytrim, looking to the inside, then swings it back to the inside. Looking for a little bit of a switchback maneuver there, and underneath the Toyota bridge they go. Forza Horizon 3, but yeah, Forza 7 didn't come out until Horizon 3. Yeah, that's true. It was back in the Horizon 3 days. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I keep coming across names, and of course, now just recently, now that I've returned here on Tuesdays, but it's amazing even in the last 2 years that I've been streaming, thinking about the Horizon 2 days and the Forza Motorsport 5 days, and some of those names, some of those people that keep coming back, that find me and say, hey man, you remember me from those Forza Horizon 2 races that we did? And those Forza Horizon 5 races, which back then there was no spectating mode, so I had to broadcast while racing, so you only saw from my perspective. But we had some fantastic racing, and JB Daddy here returning to the Virtual Auto Sports family on a Tuesday night. Back down the back straightaway here, I guess, at Long Beach. It's Craytrim and Crimson. We're going to continue to hold on to this battle. But back behind him, it's Audrex in 4th position. Iceman Misfit in 5th. He's got a great battle with Slow Motion Fire happening, and Foontang right now. 5th, 6th, and 7th. Proud Beetle back there in 8th. And Fear the Fun. Unfortunately, things have gone terribly awry for him. He's in 9th position with what I would suspect to be a pit stop somewhere back there, which is just unfortunate. He qualified, I think, either 5th or 6th, was running really well as far up as 4th, and now is in 9th. Terrible, terrible. Forza Motorsport 5 did not have a spectator mode. Not that I recall. I remember doing Forza Motorsport 5 broadcast and had to do them with me racing. That was the only way. And I did. I raced and commentated as best as I could at that time, and had a lot of great races. We did some like 2.5-hour races out at Sebring, which I remember vividly. I think we did some, I'm trying to remember some of the other events, but yes, all kinds of great events at that time. But now I'm glad that I can hang up the racing helmet and say, hey, let me just broadcast and spectate without having to actually hop behind the wheel. Although I do my fair share of racing in Forza Motorsport 7. Don't be confused. I've done 100% of the things that you can do in FM7 apart from all the achievement stuff, but have completed the single player mode and have done plenty of multiplayer racing, but have given that up. And there goes Crimson now. Crimson starting to get a pretty good clip going here, pulling away from Craytrim. who again has been top-notch in the qualifying. Won season 29, but finds himself in an interesting predicament here in week number 1, although it's a predicament I wish I had, because to be running third in both races is pretty good, and that'll yield him 45 points if that's indeed where he finishes both on race number 1 and race number 2, 90 total. The week with your lowest total number of points, that's the week that you drop. If you're not racing with us right now, head on over to reddit.com/r/FM4 after the race. Get yourself signed up. Let Slow Motion Fire say, hey man, I watched this FM4, the Forza Spec Racing Series happening on Virtual Autosports, and I want to take part. All you have to do is race clean. That's the only prerequisite. Then you can join these guys out here on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time is when things get started promptly with qualifying for race number 1, and then you'll do race number 1, and then qualifying for race number 2, and then you'll do race number 2, and then that's it. About an hour and 45 minutes of racing, and then you're done. We're on lap number 11 of 20 here out at Long Beach. Going to conclude things, and that scorebook will be completed by Slow Motion Fire at the end of the race, so you can take a look at the standings, where everybody is, and then we'll be back at it again next Tuesday, a week from now, with week number 2 out at Monza and Rio de Janeiro. Underneath that Toyota bridge and across the line they go. Crimson now has given up some time there. Cratrim sneaking back up. I know we've been watching these two for quite some time, but we're going to keep the camera here and see if Cratrim's going to make a move. Here they go into turn number 2. Not a great opportunity there, and wisely Cratrim just going to go ahead and keep it single file. Now through the roundabout section here on the city course of Long Beach. JB Daddy saying, you have Reddit? Oh no! And there goes Crimson into the tire wall. And so Cratrim's going to move up to second position. Oh no! Did Crimson get any damage from that one? Fortunately, it appears he is okay. Oh, but a terrible turn of events there. And now Cratrim will move up a spot. And let's see, within the next 8 laps, if Cratrim's going to be able to close in on Mesosphere. Audrex in 4th, Foodtang in 5th, Slow Motion Fire. Let's go to Slow Motion Fire. They're in 5th position. Boom! And there's a look at the instant replay. And it looks like it was not forced, not precipitated by anybody but himself. It was his own doing. Therefore, Crimson. Slow Motion Fire now bookended by Foodtang in 5th and Iceman Misfit in 7th position. JB Daddy, what I was saying was I do not have Reddit. I'm spectating and I'm broadcasting these events, but fortunately they're all put together by Slow Motion Fire, and that's where he has the all the details on this series. Again, reddit.com/r/FM4. You can find that address there down below in the lower third graphic. Head on over there, get yourself signed up, show up for week number 2, race all the way through the final week, or even if you can't make it through the final week, race with these guys nonetheless. If we get ourselves a full 23-car grid here in this series, this season number 30, that would be awesome. They've gotten very, as a matter of fact, we've seen it. We've seen full grids here in FM4 before, so let's make it happen. I know Slow Motion Fire would greatly appreciate it, and we would love it from the broadcast spectating point of view. It's always nice to have a full grid of cars, and with the tracks that we have coming up here in the next 4 weeks, it would be phenomenal to have 23 vehicles making it happen out there on the track. JB Daddy saying cool replay. I feel like that's new. I had the replay toward the end of the summer for a couple of races, so yeah, it's fairly new. It is fairly new. Mesosphere is our leader here on lap number 4. Cratrim moving up a spot there again after the incident there by Crimson heading into one of the tire walls. Audrex in 4th, Foodtang in 5th, Slow Motion Fire in 6th, Iceman Misfit in 7th, Proud Beetle in 8th. Fear the Fun, unfortunately, the worst luck out there on the track in 9th position. Born as Ghost in 10th. It looks like Audrex trying to close in on Crimson. If you guys are watching and you want to come back to the stream, perhaps you want a notification of when the channel is live again. Of course, I'll tell you, it's Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, but click that follow button. Lets me know as the broadcaster that I must be doing something right and that you're enjoying the action. And then each time that we go live, if you have the notification set up, you will get informed when we are live. But again, you can just anticipate it. Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. That's 5 p.m. Pacific. Drex there in 4th. He is trying to close in on Crimson. We're going to see if he's going to make it happen. There's not really any closer battle out here on the track presently. And there goes Audrex. Oh, look at that. Locking up the back tires. Perhaps maybe a little bit of handbrake action. E-brake. Did you know I played Horizon 1 for 2 years not knowing that there was a brand new one? And then once I was playing Forza Horizon 2, Forza Horizon 3 came out. I played for 4 days on Forza Horizon 2. Hey, that's okay, man. Forza Horizon, the Forza Horizon franchise is so well done. Playground Games, I could not be more impressed with the developer. That just take out of your mind that they're a racing game developer. And just the beautiful attention to detail, the pretty well put together structure of the game, how the races come about, or how you participate in the game and what that looks like is just so well put together that I have to say Playground Games is probably, in my mind, one of the best game developers out there today. And the fact that Playground Games is now part of the Xbox Studios crew is obviously attributed to the fantastic work that they have done over there. And I can't remember if it's official or unofficial, but they are working on, or at least to our, again, I can't remember if it's been confirmed, but my understanding is that they're working on a non-racing game, because they have just shown their capability to develop a world that is believable, that is beautiful. And I've always said this about the Horizon franchise, is that you could basically take the Horizon world and make it as a first-person shooter, or you could make it as an RPG game. You could take the worlds and make whatever you want with them. The environments that Playground Games develops are just that good. And so it only makes sense that they've been, again, I can't remember if it's official or not, but asked to do another game, and I think it is an RPG. I think. That again depends on whether or not that's actually true about Playground Games making a non-racing game. I could be just making that up in my mind. I was getting into cars, and literally the best one I found on YouTube was Horizon. Even though 720p old YouTube, I knew it was super amazing, so I tried Horizon 1. Yeah, even Horizon 1, I mean, it was such a revolutionary game. Obviously, open world racing games, people were very much familiar with the Test Drive Unlimited franchise. Oh, look at that, Audrex sliding it through the hairpin now as he continues to close in on Crimson. So we're going to keep the camera here. But obviously, people were familiar with the Test Drive Unlimited franchise, the Need for Speed franchise with their open world games, and then here comes Horizon 1. And I could just remember the announcement. And again, or actually the trailer for Horizon leaked. The trailer for Horizon leaked. And I'm just sitting there like, this is incredible. And the setting there in Colorado, although I wish now that we could revisit that environment with today's hardware, because I can only imagine what they would be able to do with Horizon, but this was the first Forza title that had transition day-night cycle. There has been night cycle prior to the Forza Motorsport 5 years. In Forza, the night environments existed in Forza Motorsport 1, and then they just disappeared for a couple of iterations before reappearing in FM5. But the first Forza title to introduce the night and day cycle was Forza Horizon 1, and it was just a sight to behold. It was awesome. Here comes Audrex. Audrex continues to close in here on Crimson, so I'm not moving the camera. I know we're very fixated here on these two cars, but we don't want to miss a moment. There goes Audrex again, I think on the e-brake. Bringing that neon around with style. The AMD Risen livery on that car. Audrex always with the AMD designs, and Foontang predictably so in the magenta NVIDIA, and Foontang back there in 5th position. Slow Motion Fire and Iceman Misfit having a battle. But with this one here, well, let's go ahead and take a moment. Let's go back there. Let's go to Iceman Misfit in 7th position. Back behind Slow. Let's see if he's going to be able to make a move here in this coming lap. Otherwise, we're going to have to jump back up to the front for this 20-lapper. Again, the top left says 21. That 21st lap would be a cool-down lap. So we're racing to the checker on lap 20. And here comes Slow Motion Fire, Iceman. You got a little bit of an elevation change, a little bit pitch upward here as you get ready to go underneath the roller coaster at Long Beach. Iceman Misfit looking to the outside as they line it up for the left-hander. He's going to go ahead and go back into single file. Very safe decision there. And perhaps after the right-hander set it up nicely down the long straightaway, looking to use every bit of the racing surface up onto the walls. The sparks are flying. Now he's going to cut it up over the curbing. And you see the tire smoke there by Slow Motion Fire. Now here they come up down the long straightaway up to the right-hander as they head up toward the aquarium here at Long Beach. Not been to the aquarium myself, but I can only imagine it's probably a pretty spectacular aquarium. And here they go to the left, then to the right in the 2005 ACR Neon. And here comes Misfit. We've seen him take this line. He takes the hairpin wide there. And Slow Motion Fire has got the run on him up toward the start-finish line here for lap number 19. Let's go back up toward the front. Or not toward the front. Let's go back up to Audrex in 4th, who's trying to chase down there in 3rd. Crimson, who had an unfortunate mistake there earlier on in this race. We can go ahead and relive that one here on the instant replay. Parked it right into a tire wall. Had to recover from that one, but it allowed Cratrim to get past. And Cratrim now running in 2nd position behind Mesosphere. Crimson way to the inside line. They're up along the wall. Audrex. Let's see if he's going to save it here for the final lap. And we'll, as quickly as we can, we'll drop back there to 6th and 7th with Slow Motion Fire and Iceman Misfit. I know we got a really close battle back there. We won't lose sight of that one. And looks like Cratrim having to contend with some lap traffic, and there they go. You can hear the tires squealing there as both Cratrim and Audrex appear to have been on the e-brake. Now back toward the start-finish line for the final lap. The white flag flies here at Long Beach out of turn number 1. That sweeping right-hander up to the Verizon Bridge. To the left they go. Crimson hard on the brakes with Audrex coming to the inside. Going to bash into the driver's door side panel. And now here they come up to the roundabout with the aquarium there to the right-hand side for us, or for the drivers, left-hand side for us on the camera view. Audrex going to go ahead and give Crimson a little bit of space, maybe acknowledging, hey, I went a little bit hard into you there through turn number 2, but not going to give them any space here as they go up underneath the roller coaster. Now to the left-hander. We saw Audrex use all this, well, that was Iceman Misfit using all the space possible through this section earlier on. And now Audrex looks to make the move to the inside. Well done, Crimson! Just gives him enough of an opening there through that left-hander. And Audrex up to 3rd, Crimson to 4th. Wow, that's got to be the move of the night. Well done by Audrex. Very clean. And let's see if he's going to be able to hold on to it. And again, I know we've got that battle with Slow Motion Fire and Iceman Misfit. We'll come back to it as soon as we can after Audrex makes a clean exit coming out of the final turn here at Long Beach. It's going to be Mesosphere in first, Craytrim in second, Audrex in third, and Crimson in fourth. Let's go to Iceman Misfit, who is now off the pace from Slow Motion Fire. Did he maybe run into the tire wall coming through the right-hander back there through the downtown section? Can't say for sure. And now here comes Iceman Misfit back behind Slow Motion Fire. Not going to be able to catch up. It's going to be Slow Motion Fire in sixth. Iceman Misfit in seventh. Fu-Tang finishes up there in fifth position. Let's go to Proud Beetle. They're in eighth. Well done. THD Reckless saying Audrex did the choke and slice. I like it. The choke and slice. Let's go ahead and take a look at that on the Virtual Autosports instant replay as we see Proud Beetle coming up across the line. Look at this. The choke and slice, Reckless calls it. There it is, up underneath the Forza Motorsport bridge. So well executed by Audrex. Has to be our pass of the night. Proud Beetle in eighth, Fear the Fun in ninth, and Born as Ghost is going to claim 10th. What an exciting race, although there wasn't a lot of passing action through it. We saw bits and pieces that definitely made it exciting, and unfortunately for Crimson, two big-time errors. The first one giving up second position after going head first into a tire wall, and then the second one with Audrex making a run on him through the what would have been the penultimate left-hander there. So Mesosphere picking up a back-to-back win here in week number 1 of season 30 in that Dodge ACR Neon. Well done by Mesosphere as he makes the victory lap around the track. He's got the spa, or like the spa, not like the Spa Francorchamps avatar, like the spa, like he's got the facial and the cucumbers over the eyelids avatar back behind the windscreen there, if you can make it out. Woo! Well done. Let's go ahead and take a look at that pass again by Audrex. Up underneath the roller coaster. And then he peers to the inside. And because of Crimson's line that had him so far to the inside, he carried that momentum out wide. Audrex set it up nicely so that he could do the switch back there. The old switcheroo. And he did. The Mesosphere across the line to conclude things here out at Long Beach. And there you go. There's your final race results, Mesosphere. And actually pay no mind to the rest of this because those drivers, they were switching places there in the standings as they were sitting there on the cooldown lap. So the organizers have that all sorted. Mesosphere in first, Craytrim in second, Audrex in third, Crimson in fourth, Fu-Tang in fifth, Slow Motion Fire in sixth, seventh was Iceman Misfit, and from there on out, I can't quite recall. I think it was maybe Fear the Fun in eighth, Proud Beetle in ninth, and Born as Ghost in 10th. I think I might have gotten that correct. All right, let's go to that driver spotlight section real quick. I do have to be quick with these interviews, so we'll make them real quick here. Let's start with Mesosphere going back-to-back here in week number 1, able to make it happen both out on the Nürburgring and then here at the Long Beach Full Circuit. Well done, Meza.
Well, thank you very much. That was much more intense than the Nürburgring race, but that just made it more fun, so that's all good. I hope it looked good on camera. I'll watch it back in a bit.
It sure did, and unfortunately, as is often the case with our leaders who get up there in front and stay in front, we don't get you a lot of camera time. But the car looked great, and despite your lack of interest in the car, you're making it work wonderfully out there. Looking ahead, we've got Monza and Rio. Your thoughts on those two tracks?
I'm suspecting it'll be my drop week, mainly because this car really doesn't like bumps, and well, Rio is nothing but bumps, so I'm expecting lots of pain there. Monza, on the other hand, could be a lot of fun. So, especially as it's the alternate version, so we really get to wring this thing out for all it's worth. And I got to say, Curva Grande turns in with no aero on this thing. It's a test of bravery. We'll put it that way.
Any chance that you're getting that you're starting the car is growing on you as we go along? I know it's only been 2 races.
No.
Any chance that you're liking it a little bit more? No.
Oh no. We'll see how I feel about it next week. But like I say, performance-based analysis says 2 wins.
Oh.
I love this car.
Mm-hmm.
I
that's
so
how I would
either
play.
that,
Yeah.
or this car loves me.
Yeah, one or the other, and that's how I'd be looking at it. If I'm doing good in the car, even if I hate the car, all of a sudden the car is my best friend. Mez, good chatting with you here in week number 1. Congratulations on the back-to-back wins. We'll see you in week 2.
Welcome back to Twitch.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you, sir.
We've missed you.
And guys, make sure you're following Mesosphere here on Twitch, and that's twitch.tv/Mesosphere. He does some painting streams, some racing streams, and I think he does some non-racing stuff as well. So be sure to check that out. Let's go to Audrex now. Audrex there. What a pass toward the end of the race there on that final lap, getting around Crimson. How did you set that one up?
I think I just got lucky there. I think Crimson had an equipment switch like partway through the race, and that's what cost him.
Wow. Like, you mean like from wheel to controller, or from?
Yeah, I think he said something about controller to wheel, and that's probably what did it there.
Yeah. Yeah, so we saw him go. And by him, we're speaking of Crimson, and we'll go to Crimson here after chatting with Audrex in the pit lane. But Audrex making a beautiful move there. Was that a part of the track that you felt best at, or were you maybe eyeing another corner a little bit later on? Granted, that's already halfway through, so you didn't have many more corners to go.
No, there wasn't much race left. It was just try to catch Crimson, and see what happens. And I really think I just got lucky there.
And yeah, well, luck or not, I think it was all skill setting that one up, coming in the left-hander after the roller coaster section there, making the move to the inside, and we'll have that replay. I think we'll be able to get that one back up here so everybody can see. But what about your thoughts on the Dodge ACR? We know what Crimson's been thinking on, or excuse me, that Mesosphere has been thinking on this one. But are you maybe liking this car, or what are your thoughts?
Hey, this is Ricer heaven right here. This is a throwback to good old days. Let's face it, we don't get these hotted up front wheel drive tuner cars anymore. So
I love how the term Ricer has been thrown around a couple of times. Although we're talking about an American car, obviously, I think we're alluding to the fact that it's obviously very much tied to the street tuning scene.
Yeah, you know it.
Yep. Yeah. The Dodge Neon. And I think Dodge itself even attributes a lot of the success of this car to the late '90s tuning scene, and of course that only exasperated by the release of Forza Fast and the Furious a little bit later on. Audrex, again, kudos to you, and I think I gotta if I were to dole out an award here for best pass of the night, we had a couple of them, but I think I rank yours at the top, and then we'll see you there in week number 2, first at Monza, and then heading out to that fictional track of Rio.
Thank you, sir. Look forward to it.
Awesome, and let's go now to Crimson. Crimson, things maybe not so great there in that second race versus the first one, where you're able to hold on to second position. You drop back a couple of spots here at Long Beach, but all in all, I think you got to be pretty proud with your finishes.
For the sabotage that White Bikes has thrown at us this evening, I can only be happy with our result here. We had a control input device fail on us, and funny enough, the logo was missing a couple of its horns. So we can only assume and call up some of our corporate spooks.
Is this going to continue on through the season? Because if it is, I'm gonna love it.
Their shenaniganry.
Yeah, yeah, shenaniganry. That's a great way to describe it. So unfortunately, that seems to have been what had you going into the firewall head first. There was an input issue.
Yeah, the out of character. The batteries in my controller died, and I had to hot swap to my wheel.
So we were talking with Audrex. What a beautiful pass he made to jump up there to third position there in the last lap. What were you thinking? Like, was that an area where you kind of were expecting to be contested, or was that a bit of a surprise maneuver there for you on the inside?
I expected a dive there, so I cut in a little bit too early and caught the inside wall.
Mm.
And it just kicked me out wide a little bit, and it gave him that opening.
Gotcha.
So it was just being put off with being on the wheel. I don't normally use the wheel for Forza because it feels like absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Because it has input dampening, but
Well, if we're going to give Audrex the award for the best pass, I guess we got to give you the award for being able to make the most out of an incident like that, where you have a controller problem. Something, I guess. I mean, obviously we can't really correlate to the real world, but you did a bang on job on quickly getting the wheel up and running and back out there on the track.
luckily it's always plugged in, so I don't have to reinitialize it and wait for it to recognize it as an input device. I can just mash the throttle and it'll pick it up. I'm insanely grateful and lucky that I managed to find a tire wall instead of a barrier.
This is true. This is true. Saved you the damage, saved you a pit stop. Monza and Rio a week from tonight. Quickly, your thoughts, sir.
Rio's going to be an absolute cluster. Like it's the smallest version of it, I believe.
Like a kidney. It's shaped like a kidney, if I remember correctly.
It's the one with the chicanes on the back.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That runs counterclockwise.
That'll be fun. Well, Crimson, despite the misfortunes here in race number 2, I think all in all, a second place finish and a fourth place finish, not too bad coming out of week number 1. We'll see you in week 2.
Yep, sounds good. See ya.
And let's go to the race organizer here for the evening. Well, all throughout the history of the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series. And having a nice little battle there with Iceman Misfit toward the end of the race there. Race number 2 out at Long Beach. Able to come away with a 6th place finish there. Slow motion fire. How are things from your vantage point starting here in the Dodge Neon?
I think it's shaping out to be a fun little car. The front wheel drive is always a challenge when we jump back to this, because there's half the field that really likes front wheel drive and the other half is struggling to remember how the hell you drive it. So as the seasons go on, I think that other half will start to come around. I'm in the latter half myself. You just got to keep catching yourself with the little things that fix a slide in a rear wheel drive car, compound it in front wheel drive.
So I had mentioned earlier on that Cratrim, formerly known as C-Tom in the Forza community, he's got the most championship wins here in the FM4 League with, if my count is correct, 9. Is this maybe one of the more unorthodox vehicles that he's chosen coming out of a championship?
No, I would say probably the Mercedes SUV was one of the more unorthodox choices. This is pretty mundane compared to that.
Would have loved to have been there for that one. And as Mesosphere had alluded to at the beginning of race number 2 here, no aero package, or at least not the adjustable aero package that comes with the Forza Aero, versus all the seasons prior to this one where I've seen Forza Aero applied. So just for our viewers, what goes into the rationale of, okay, let's throw on maybe one of the other body kits, but the not adjustable version?
That basically was the rationale. It was, let's make this thing look as ridiculous as we can, and then the rest of the build was formed around that.
Yeah. Well, I as soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, this is going to be pretty exciting. Granted, the Nürburgring big track, it allowed the field to stretch out. Things got a lot more exciting here at Long Beach, and I imagine here as we head out to Monza and then Rio, as Crimson had said, things may get very, very interesting there at that track with the chicanes and the fictional track shenanigery that exists there.
Rio is going to be a very different race from the Nürburgring. We're running on one of the shorter circuits, and yeah, it's going to be tight. We're going to see what people can do.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, again, folks, make sure if you didn't race here in week number 1, jump in on week number 2. You'll still be in contention for the championship, and you could do that by giving Slow Motion Fire a heads up. Reddit.com/r/FM4. Of course, I'm sure if you give him a shout on Xbox Live through messages, he'll probably respond to you there. But go over to reddit.com/r/FM4. That way you can get all the details, set your car up, get out here in week number 2. Let's get this lobby filled. Slow Motion Fire, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me back here, and I look forward to seeing obviously more of what we had here in week number 1, but drawn out for the next 4 weeks.
The honor is all ours to have you back. You do a fantastic job at this, and like I said, it makes race night that much more fun to have you broadcasted. So we appreciate it.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate those kind words. And to that point, yes, folks, we will take this broadcast. I'll quickly axe the front countdown off of it so that we can get right into the racing action. You can watch the replay here of week number 1, season 30, the Dodge Neon ACR. Immediately following this broadcast, twitch.tv/virtual autosports. Appreciate the welcoming committee here tonight. I think this is probably one of the more popular Tuesdays. Imagine that we've had probably all year. Usually Tuesdays are pretty subdued, but you guys showed up in pretty good droves. JB Daddy, THD, Reckless. Who else did we have here in the Twitch chat during the event? Proud Beetle obviously was racing out there on the track, flying Evo 6. We had Sir Mighty was here, rooting on Foontang. Pixel was here. Proud Beetle, I just mentioned. Big J Bishop was here during the countdown. GTR Widowed, Mesosphere, Slow Motion Fire. Who else was here? All kinds of folks. Notorious Nate was here. The Sacred Texts. All kinds of folks showing up here for tonight's return to the broadcast. But again, no Thursdays or Sunday broadcast. Just going to be doing the commentary here for the FM4 Forza Spec Racing Series. So please don't be looking for us a little bit later on and then messaging me, hey, where's the event? Where's the broadcast at? I'm looking for more. You can catch us again a week from tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern for week number 2. And again, that's out at Monza, followed by Rio, the Coast Loop Reverse. Oh, that's going to be exciting. Week number 2 of 5 here in season number 30. Reddit.com/r/FM4. Please, if you're even the slightest bit interested in getting out here on the track, all you have to do is race cleanly, but then get signed up, show up next week, qualify, race, rinse, repeat, all the way through week number 5, which concludes there on November the 5th at Yas Marina. It's going to be a great season. If you win the championship, you get to pick the car for season number 31. That's going to do it for me here this evening, folks. I hope we made your Tuesday night a little bit better. Yeah. And I hope you all have a fantastic Wednesday on through the remainder of the week. Maybe catch it during the Forza Racing Championship streams. Perhaps I'll be there in the chat room. Say hello. Y'all take care. Have a great rest of the week. Adios and goodbye.